only about coding. It's about fostering a community of passionate tech enthusiasts and creators. And these are the communities which are present all over the world. You have GDSC Harvard University, you have GDSC Berkeley. You go anywhere around the world, you will find a GDSC club in a campus. So Alhamdulillah, we have it. This year we have it in our campus. We should be proud of it. Yeah. So now, why GDSC? You might be wondering why GDSC is so significant. आता ना भाई सवाल आता, right? So, well, GDSC mul- offers multiple benefits. It provides access to resources, workshops, and mentorship from experienced professionals. You will be when you are a part of GDSC campaign, like we are going to have some campaigns like Cloud campaign, Flutter campaign, and many more. At that time, you will be getting the paid courses of Google for free. That are the paid courses. You should pay in dollars to get the access. So there will be limited registrations for that. You will be getting the course for free. Then what we have, why get a chance to participate in Google's annual solution challenge. So there will be a solution challenge which is like an hackathon which is held all over the world, like all universities over the world who are registered, who has a registered GDSC chapter, participate in this event called solution challenge, in which you will be building a project to solve a real life problem. And when you win the per team member will get cash prize of dollars. It's so huge, guys. Then after you are after you are getting prize money, and you will be also getting the mentorship from the Google experts. So you can also develop your project into a startup. It's an opportunity to collaborate on projects, develop leadership skills, and then organize tech events. Now, of course, you will be having lot of swags, rewards, and certificates when you participate in our events. So that's a plus point. No, how should I join GDSC? You might be getting the links of our, which is on. We also have the link on Instagram bio, so you can go there. You can join in. I guess all of you here are already a member of GDSC, and if you want to be a part of our core team, then keep an eye on our updates on Instagram. We'll share the recruitment drive soon, so keep an eye on that. Let's talk about our mission and goals. The mission of the gap between theory and practice for students interested in technology. It's about empowering students to become impactful developer, learners, and leaders. GDSC aims to create a students can explore the world of tech, collaborate on exciting projects, and develop skills that will benefit them in their careers. Here to support you. Now, what are our primary goals? It consists of skill development. One of our primary goal is to provide students with opportunities to their enhance their technical skills. We want to help grow in areas such as web development, mobile development, cloud computing, machine learning, and whatnot, as on your interest. And the second goal of us is, which is very important nowadays, because when there is a community of like-minded people, you will the learning becomes so easy. And when you share the perspective with each other, like I have some doubt, I go in a community and ask that, so another another person will reply to it. He'll be expanding his knowledge, and you will be clearing your doubts. So community support, community building is very important nowadays. We want to bring together the tech enthusiasts from diverse backgrounds and foster environment where you can learn, share, and collaborate on projects and network with like-minded peers. Next is innovation, like encouraging to create for creative problem solving. Like we have many problems in our day-to-day lives. Roads, we see problems on railway has many problems. So we see problems, but we don't think of a solution. So when you be a part of community like this, you'll be having access to great minds, so that you can brainstorm the ideas and you can build some projects to solve the problem. Then uh, we have career preparation. About career preparation, ultimately, GDSC aims to help you to build a strong foundation. We are here, we are doing our engineering because we want to build a good career. We want to do a good job which pays us a decent amount of salary. So ultimately, we are we have to develop, we should prepare for our career. Yeah. So we will be helping in career development. Like if you are, whenever you are looking for internship, job opportunity, or simply guidance on your career path, GDSC is here to help you with that. Like have the connections we have and the our guides, our faculty coordinator, you can take the guidance from them. Next thing is open source. Open source and networking are are also the most important thing nowadays, because contributing to open source projects will are also landing you jobs. Like nowadays, if you go and see some stories on YouTube or like online, so people, when they are contributing to open source, like they are showing some respect towards the community. When you are contributing, you are not paid for the contribution. So your contribution, what we have given to the society, to an open source project, the recruiters will look into it and see that, oh, this guy is so amazing that he's contributing to the society. So he'll be getting job opportunities too. Yeah, and diversity, like you will be GDSC is not only exclusive to the CSC branch or IT branch or AIML. It's about diversity. Like anybody can join this, whether it's a mechanical guy, EC guy, triple E guy. It like it doesn't matter. And social impact, what all the things we are doing, it should impact. It should have an impact. So when you are building a project, so it should not be that, bhai, it doesn't solve any problem. It can be that for learning, but when you solve a when, when you build to solve a problem, so that you bring a social impact. Yeah, that's about our goals. Now attentive people are asking, bhai, you are starting GDSC, what you are doing, what you are going to do different from other clubs. So yeah, so here is a tentative timeline of amazing events we have planned for you. Our GDSC establishment has got has established in August. We'll be having Google Cloud Study Jam from September to November. It's a free campaign, guys. Like there will be only limited registrations. There will be 150 registrations, so that, and this is why, because you will be getting free credits of Google Cloud, which you have to pay, which are paid actually. So if you, when you have to learn Google Cloud, you have to pay you put your credit card and buy the credits, then you have to learn. But when you are a part of this GDSC, when you are part of the Google Cloud campaign, you'll be getting those credits for free. And you will be also getting the exclusive courses which are designed by the Google employees to learn Google Cloud. You will be having a facilitator who will walk through about all what should you do, how the labs are, everything will be shown you by the facilitator. Then in December we will be having an Android campaign. The guys who are interested in Android and who want to deep dive into it, they'll be also having a campaign on Android, like similar to Google Cloud. They'll be having some exclusive resources from Google. You'll when you come when you complete the challenge, you will also have chance of getting swags from Google. Yeah. So next in January we'll be having Tensor TensorFlow campaign. Uh, te- if you don't know what is TensorFlow is used for machine learning purpose. So the guys who are interested in machine learning can join the TensorFlow campaign, which will be held in in between of January to February. Uh, okay. And in February to March, we will be having our solution challenge, which I have discussed earlier, that the $3,000 per team member. So this will be an online event, but you will be having you'll be having in this month, these months. Sorry. In March, you will be having Flutter campaign. Then hopefully in April to May, we will be having our Chrome campaign. So this is a tentative timeline look likes. Then in June, that our tenure ends here. My tenure ends here. Now about the technology stack we are planning to work on. In web development, we are planning to work on, as you can see on the screen, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then frameworks like Angular, React, and in database, we are planning to work on MongoDB, SQLite, backend frameworks like Node.js, version control, GitHub, and to learn basics of backend, we can also have Python and PHP. We have our tech captains so that they can provide you with good resources and the proper roadmap learning path so that the journey to web development becomes easy. Now about app development, the primary focus will be Flutter, because Flutter is a very easy and very good, like very easy to use but very powerful framework. uh, it is used with Dart. So you will be learning Flutter in our app development workshops. Then you will be also using Firebase with Flutter. So these are the tools like Flutter, Hive, SQLite used in app development. Then in cybersecurity, we will be having Nmaps, Kali Linux, Brupsuit, etc. So next in ML and AI, machine learning and artificial intelligence. How many of you guys really want to go into AI? Because nowadays everything is AI, AI, AI. You have you have seen the video of Sundar Pichai, who was like, there was a clip on internet. Uh, a guy has shortened it, and in in a 15 minute of Sundar Pichai's talk, he have talked about AI about 18 to 20 times. So AI is the future, guys. We can see that about Chat GPT and various tools like Mid Journey. You can also build projects on AI. Like we have TensorFlow. It is the technology of Google. Then our programming language is used in AI and ML. We have libraries like NumPy and Pandas. So we'll be learning this when we have our workshops of AI and ML. Now, Bhai, these are the things you are saying, but what are the perks? What I'll get extra from this GDSC? Other clubs are also doing the same thing, but what are the extra perks? Yeah, so GDSC Google has not. They have some extra perks like you want goodies. Yeah, who don't want goodies for free? You'll be when you complete some challenges, like you are committed and you complete everything on time. You'll be getting goodies from Google, so that like there are many tech events conducted by Google developer group and GDSC. In that, if you participate, you will be getting like, there is a event called DevFest, which is conducted every year to connect all the developers in the city. Like we have uh, we have Dev Fest last year in Le Meridian Hotel. So in that we'll be getting swags. So it's also a plus point. Like we who don't want free swags and with the branding of Google. Yeah, and you'll be also as a perk you'll be also getting certificate from Google Developer Group and GDSC. So it's also like you can show it, and when you complete a full challenge you can show something that okay, bhai, I have completed the whole challenge, so that a certificate was provided for me. But remember that the certificates are not that important, but your skills are that matters. So you should focus on skills. Certificate are the plus point which you can add to your LinkedIn resume, etc. Yeah. So, and another point I want to add is we might not help you with attendance or CGPA, but we can help you become a better developer and build a better network. So, we need guys as GDSC, we are totally concerned about our academics. Uh, so you should be first thing is academics. The academics should be perfect. You should not have any single backlog. You should clear, if you have any, you should clear all the backlogs. And side by side you should learn technologies and upgrade yourself, so that you become a better developer. And the network the GDS is providing is a great network. So you when you join GDSC, you'll be interacting with professionals from Google, or like there are many startup guys like Hyderabad DAO, if you know. So there are many connections so that you can be a part of the huge network. But you should also take care of your CGPA and academics. It's a very important point. Yeah. Now, before our personality development and engineering excellence session by Rida Malik, uh, I want to invite Dr. Maniza Hijab ma'am, associate head CSC department, and she is a faculty of GDSC MJCET. Hello, uh, ma'am, are you there? Uh, Maniza ma'am, hello.
Salim, I think you should have to make Nisa ma'am as a host of Clubhouse so that she can also join.
Yeah,
Because
ma'am is
Hello,
ma'am is
hello,
here.
hello. Are you able to hear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are able.
Yeah. Firstly, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to one all the students who have joined this session. I congratulate you all for being members of GDSC and starting this club. Uh, I was approached. I say I readily agreed. The only reason for me to become part of this GDSC was I wanted to bring on one platform all the three student chapters that are there in the department. Right? We have CSI, we have MSS, and we have GDSC. So when Abdul Alim approached me, my first question was I would want these clubs to work in unison. Second thing is we would want to have the students benefit from what Google has to offer to its students. And please remember nowadays just the curriculum is not sufficient. Curriculum is minimum requirement and additional requirement is mandatory for you to be employable, marketable and be able to get hooked up immediately after your graduation. So for that reason, we would want the students to take the maximum benefit. Abdul Alim has extensively talked about what all can be done. And one thing which I would want to stress is, please, this is a activity above your basic curriculum, which is your coursework. So ensure that your coursework doesn't suffer. You are up to the mark, and then you build on this. That is what I want, and I would be definitely monitoring the club, and I will be ensuring that all the three student chapters do not come in confrontation, but will work in collaboration for the benefit of the students of the department as well as the students of the college. So definitely we will be promoting GDSC in other departments as well at our administrative level. And we would want that students who are part of this GDSC club, they maintain a good academic curriculum, a good professional discipline, please. The mannerisms, the etiquettes of the students who are of GDSC club should be exemplary. This is much wanted and is missing seen in other clubs as well. And whenever I had got chance to address, I have addressed that if I am a member of a professional club, the professional code of ethics of the club should be reflective from my behavior and attitude. The way you conduct yourself, the way you interact, the way you speak. And one more thing which I would want GDSC to look into is that there has to be a knowledge transfer from the seniors to the juniors. And what I find is the current first years are off the hook. They are totally, they are no doubt in the college, they are attending their curriculum, but they are totally off the hook with regards to, practical training and development. So I would want the GDSC to give more attention towards the first years so that, those students are groomed towards, programming and development through self-learning. So this I would want the lead to concentrate as well as the execom to concentrate, right? So I once again thank you for giving me the opportunity and wish you all the best. Thank you. Yes, over to
Uh,
you, Abdul Alim.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insights and your time. We thank you for being a faculty coordinator and providing your guidance and mentorship. So let's start speaker session, which is Ms. Rida Malik Mubin. Hello, Rida, are you there? Rida is joining in a minute, guys.
Okay, guys. Meanwhile, till the speaker joins, please,
Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can post here.
yeah, the chat is open, guys. Please, if you have any questions, the chat.
Will there be any sort of interviews for recruitment? Yes, Juveria will be having interviews soon, so make sure you stay tuned with our Instagram page. We will be posting all the things there. Criteria. Okay, criteria is nothing but like you should be passionate about the portfolio you are applying to. Like you should know something about it. If you want to be a volunteer, you need to know something. But if you want to lead, like web dev lead or app dev lead or a management lead, so you should be having a good grip on it so that you can lead the team.
One thing I would like to add, if you are good at Google technologies, that is a very good thing. So make sure you come with whatever projects you have done in using Google technologies like Flutter, TensorFlow, right? Okay.
By the way, guys, Rida is joining us from all the way from Florida, US. So it's taking a time, but she'll be here soon. Okay, so Rida is here. Uh, Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Rida, we can hear.
Okay.
Should I
Um,
stop my presentation? You will be presenting.
yeah, I'll do that. I'll share my screen and then I'll switch on my video as well.
Okay.
Give me a second. Let me just set that up. I don't have the option to share the screen.
Should provide, I guess. Set as host. Okay, now you can do.
Okay, great. Thanks. I think you need to stop sharing for me to start.
Yeah. Then.
Okay. Okay, can you guys see it?
Hmm. No, not yet.
You not?
No.
Okay, that's weird. Let me try that again. Give me a minute. I think I'll just try it from the browser. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. So this is just a simple presentation that I want to keep so that you guys can have a track of everything that I'm talking about. I'll start sharing my video as well at the end of it so that all of us can have a proper discussion and um, it can be proper questions. I hope you guys have questions because that would be the whole point of the session today. So I just want to start off by saying that thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to see you guys doing this, right from the start this way, to see such interest of the people who are organizing it and everybody's attending it. So I hope that you guys take away something useful from here. And if you do have any questions, you can let them know in the chat. I think we can address these questions in the end. And even if you want to talk later, you can just shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'm sure a lot of juniors can attest that if you do ask me questions, I'll do answer it on LinkedIn. Um, but anyway, let's dive into this now. A short introduction is that I'm currently a graduate student at the University of Florida doing computer science engineering, and I did my bachelor's from MJ, and then I just moved for my master's directly without actually working in between. I do have experience with research, so I did a short summer research internship with a professor at Columbia University, and then I've been working as a graduate research assistant at the University of Florida. Right now, I'm a part of two research groups at the university, so I can say that I do have a little bit of idea about how that goes, what you guys need to do with that in case that is an area that you're interested in. So, the agenda of today's session is basically engineering excellence in a way that I can help you guys understand what steps you need to take, and the advice and tips I have from my side, from my own personal experience, that will help you through the engineering journey as well as opportunities beyond. So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to tell you is that you have to do things yourself. Mm, I want to know how many first years, second years, third years, fourth years we have here today. Can you give me like a slight idea? Just like maybe somebody could just like tell me because I can't really change right now because I'm sharing the screen.
Mostly there are first year and like uh, now we are going to third year and upcoming second years. First year is not here yet, and fourth year has
Mm-hmm.
graduated.
Okay, so this is a good period right now for you guys to be like diving into things that you want to get started with, or things you want to do after your graduation. So the first and the most important advice I think I would give you from my experience throughout my undergrad is to do it yourself, because coming from school, unfortunately, we are under this impression that we might be, getting some help, or we might be getting some kind of guidance from so and so person, or maybe the faculty is going to be spoon feeding us, or they're going to like show us the way. But that's not the case if you want to do things really well. If you want to do really well for yourself, if you want to have a really good profile, then I would suggest that you don't wait for things to come your way. You don't just wait for the academic schedule and you're just going through things according to the academic schedule. So I would suggest that, start doing things that you think are best for your profile, are best for your goals, and then just do them yourself. You don't have to wait for a professor to tell you. You don't have to wait for a senior to tell you. You don't have to wait for your friends to start doing them. It might be the case that, oh, this is so early, why are you doing it now? But the faster you start, it's better for you. So if you want to have a good technical profile, then I suggest you start building projects yourself. It might be difficult. You might be like, oh, how do I start on a tech stack that I don't know? But for anything that you want to do, you have to start from zero at some point. So you just take up a course, you talk to a professor who's done research in that domain, or you talk to a senior who's made a project in that domain, and then you just start. You start building skills that you need. So in your resume, or in if you're looking for jobs, or if you're applying to universities, you need to have certain skills that you showcase. So by the time you're done with your third year, I would say a lot of these courses that you do in college would help you get these skills, the technical ones. But that's the bare minimum you need. I would recommend that you get skills. So there are two types of skills that you need. You need technical skills, but you also need soft skills, and both of these are equally important when you have applications. Doesn't matter where you're applying, universities or jobs, but both of these type of skills are equally important. So soft skills would involve team building, team leading, organizing events, or talking, communication, leadership. So all of that would come when you're doing some kind of work just beyond academics. But the technical skills would come from academics as well as what you're doing otherwise. So if you're working on projects, the skills that you learn there, you add that to your resume. If you're doing a course online, the skills that you learn there, you add that to your resume. So I feel like all of these skills are something that you need to put an extra bit of an effort if you want to stand out. If you just rely on the skills you learned from the courses in college, it would give you the bare minimum, but that would be the basic requirement that you're filling, which there are like hundreds, thousands of other students who are doing that. So if you want to set yourself apart, then work on the skills that you need and then add them to your resume. Then coming to the next point, your resume is basically um, your identity card, I would say, when you're applying to any place, like any platform. And it stands for your abilities. It stands for how beneficial you would be to that organization if they were to select you, and it also stands to justify why they should select you. So it needs to have that punch to it. It needs to have a good base to it. So you need to start building the base for your resume as soon as possible. So it's basically just like a collection of everything you've done. It's your experience, it's your skills, it's your projects, it's your volunteering work that you have. It doesn't have to be like super amazing, but it has to showcase really good things that, oh, this is what this person is capable of, and that is why this is an advantage for us. So you should start building your resume as soon as you possibly can. Um, and then your LinkedIn profile, I would say, as a working professional, a LinkedIn profile is a great tool to have, but it is also, I would say at this point, kind of like a basic requirement that every professional expects. So if you are in the industry and if you're in a team, or if you are leading a team, or if you are presenting something, people tend to look you up. And then if they look you up, the first thing that should preferably pop up is your LinkedIn profile. And that sets the agenda for how they are going to view you, what kind of opinion they're going to have. And I'm not saying this for validation. What I'm saying this is, this gets you opportunities, this gets you a network. I would say that building a network through LinkedIn is perhaps the best advantage that it can provide you with. It gives you a proper platform, it gives you a professional platform to create a network that helps you in terms of jobs, in terms of mentorships. I'll get to that a little deeper as we progress. But the tool in its own has great advantages when you tap onto that. If you are not using it for like the purpose it serves in the best way possible, then it's not really helpful. There are a lot of people who post a little out there content on that. It makes no sense. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to comment with that. You don't have to engage with it. What you have to do is make the best of that platform. See what is the best thing you can get out of it, and then take that to your advantage. And then the next thing I think we'll be talking about is masters and job applications. Depending on what you guys want to do, what you're interested in. Both the paths are completely, they're amazing depending on what your interests are. So we can just like talk a little bit about how to go about those applications. And then I was also asked to talk about exams. So let me see how much I can help you with that as well. If you have any questions, just let me know. Alim, you can stop me in between just to tell me that there are questions. So I'm just a little aware of that fact.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay. So the first thing is about setting goals. No matter what you want to do after graduating, I would say the first and the most important thing you should be doing right now is to set goals. I would recommend that you take up a piece of paper and you just write down what you want to do. It doesn't have to be amazingly articulate. It doesn't have to be very to the point. But if there is this goal that you have, I want you to write it down, because unless you're writing it down and you're writing down steps to get it done, it's not very clear, it's not very in your face, so it doesn't really like hit you really hard. So I would recommend that the first thing that you do is write down your goal. And it might sound like a very simple thing. Yeah, of course, we write our goals, we write down our to-do list. But when you have it in front of you, it serves as a daily reminder that, okay, this is what we're working for, and these are all the things that I need to be doing. And when you finally have this goal set, this is okay, so this is what I want to do now. What I want you guys to do is find somebody who has achieved something like that. So let's say you want to get into so and so university when you graduate for your masters. You pull up a profile of a student who is who's currently studying at that university, and then you try to see what accomplishments they have, what skills they have, and try to get into touch with them, scan their profile, ask them about, how they got there. Details like exams, or, how exactly did they um, shape their application, what were their strong points, what were the plus points. So when you have such a profile that you can reflect upon, then you can understand how your skills need to match up to what the universities or the requirements are basically for that goal. So having this kind of a profile, I'm not going to say that you need to do everything the exact same as this person that you've looked up, but you can use that person's profile as a base. Now, I'm saying this because it helps you get an understanding of what the basic requirements are. Because we tend to not understand what exactly we need to do because we don't have a list of things, right, to tick. So if you're like, oh, these 10 things are done, then I'm going to get in the university. You never know for sure. So, what this helps with is it helps you to like ground all of these expectations in a certain way so that you have a quantifiable list of actionable things to do. You can be like, okay, these are the things I need to get done, and these are the chances of me actually getting to that point. So I would suggest you do that. Pick up a person, can be anybody, it can be somebody who has like millions of followers, doesn't matter, as long as you know um, what they've done and how you can incorporate that into your routine. Then the second one is, after taking these skills, these list of accomplishments and everything from this profile, I want you to make it your own, because you don't want to replicate them. You need to add your own touch to it. So if a person has a certain essay that they've written which is exceptional, you can't copy the entire essay. It makes no sense. It's unique to them. So what you need to do is you need to add your own personal touch to it. You need to add your own experience to it. You need to tell them why it makes you unique about it. So take inspiration, but make it your own. Add your own touch to it. In terms of setting goals for myself, I would say that I started off by having realistic goals. They have to make sense for you to be accomplished. But then, more important for me was to have accountability for these goals. So, what I used to do is I had this factor for any kind of goal that I had, which allowed me to hold myself accountable for this. So it could be a friend that I had that I was preparing for an exam with. So we had written the GRE together. So both of us were quizzing each other. We were just, giving a reminder about the exam and, yeah, the preparation part of it. Or what else I would do is I would just set the date and then I would prepare for the exam because I already had the date set. And since it's so expensive, you don't want to take it another time. So instead of just preparing without a certain date in mind, I would go ahead with setting the date first and then preparing for it. So I did that for both the exams that I had to give. And then that just ties back to the last point, which is working backwards. Working backwards basically means that instead of just creating a list and then you keep working for that list till you're like, okay, now I'm done with the list, it should be that you create the end result first, and then you're like, okay, so this is what I need to get done, and what are the things I need to do for this, and what is the timeline I need to set for this. And then you create a list in the backward direction to reach that goal. So I feel like this is one strategy of mine that has really helped me. So instead of creating a list or a schedule or any kind of planning, instead of going forward, I set the final result date or the result that I need, and then I work backwards from that. So if that is something that you feel could help you, you could check that out. It would basically be like how dots basically just connect when one action flows to the other one. The next most important advice I have is put yourself out there. I have said this too many times to too many people that do not be scared of applying. Because I also did go through that phase that, I'm first of all, it either could be that I do not have the enough skills to apply for this position or for anything that I'm going to apply. I'm just like, maybe I do not have the required qualifications for this. Or the second one would be, I am scared of rejection. I'm going to work on myself more and then I'm going to apply where I have a lesser chance of rejection. So these two things stop you from actually going ahead with what you could have learned from, you know, in this entire process. So I would suggest that if you see an opportunity, you should apply for it. It might not be something that you will perfectly be 100% amazing at, but nobody is. Everybody who starts at a job starts from somewhere new. They start at ground level. Somebody even starts at zero. So it's nothing that you have to be at 100 when you start something. So if you see a job requirement, if you see a job posting and then you see like 10 requirement points, even the recruiters don't want you to complete all those 10 points. It's it's not an expectation. If you're fulfilling about 70% or 65% of these requirements, you're good to apply for it. And, in fact, that's what the majority of the applicants are good at, unless they have like 20 years of experience, then that's a different thing, and you guys wouldn't even be applying to the same position that way. But if you look at a posting for anything and then you fulfill about 65 to 70% of those requirements, you should just apply. And if at times you feel that maybe you're not fulfilling that as well, it's okay. You can still apply. There's like no fault in applying, going through the process, the application process, the selection process, and learning in that. Because when you face rejection, you also learn what things you're supposed to be doing and what things you're not supposed to be doing. you know Opportunities, even if you're selected and you realize, oh, this is not something that I think I want to do for my career, it's okay, it's a learning experience. That's what opportunities are for, so that you learn from the experience in terms of what you want to do, but very importantly in terms of what you not don't want to do, or what you should not be doing. Because as professionals, that is also something that you should be aware of, that while these are the things you're doing, you should also be aware of the things that, first of all, you're not interested in doing. Um, that you're just like, this is not a domain that I'm going to be working with, this is going to be a waste of my time, it's going to be a waste of resources. So it's better that you identify that earlier on, instead of like doing so much for that, spending so much money, and then eventually being like, oh, this is not what I wanted to do. But also in terms of things you shouldn't do, how to conduct yourself professionally, how to interact with professionals, how to build a network. When you make mistakes or when you get rejected, when you face failure, you learn these things. And then that just automatically makes you better than somebody who has not applied at all. So do not think of the application process as validation for your achievements. Think of it as a learning experience to get to the point where you want to be in life. So failures, rejections, and then even getting like a side track where you were gonna go straight, but you're like, no, I want to take the other one now. Those are all completely fine as long as you're applying. So um, it's completely fine, because you might get a no, you might get hundreds of no's. That's what I've gotten in my experience. Let me be completely honest with you. When you see all these accomplishments, those yeses come like after hundreds of no's. So they're like just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the applications that I had filled out. So when you see somebody with a good profile and you're like, this is amazing, but you don't know what is going on behind the scenes. So what you need to know is what your interests are and what opportunities you have, so that you can apply for that. Just keep your eyes open for what you can possibly be doing, what opportunities you could possibly be tapping into, and then keep applying for that.
Uh, there is a question. Yeah.
Okay.
You have been a part of MLSA and Research Intern at Columbia as well. How did you secure these two positions opportunities? Can you give a brief roadmap starting from first year? What should I do? The question from
Okay.
Juveria Ahmed.
Okay, that is a very nice question. It's a very comprehensive question. Can we take that at the end once I'm done with this? Because
Yeah,
it's a little detailed. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Okay. So coming on to the resume part, like I said, LinkedIn and your resume are two things that you are showing people that are marketing you. So this has to be the best possible version that you put out there, because this is what people are going to see. This is what people are going to judge you based on, and this is that is basically setting the tone for who you are and what you can do for that organization. So there are multiple templates that you can find online. I'm sure if even if you're just on Instagram and you see people commenting that don't be making these resumes, they're not nice, and those are for good reasons. So when you see resumes with like 2 columns or 3 columns and different font, too many colors, a picture on the top, it just doesn't put a very professional front for you. So what I would recommend is that pick up a simple template if you want to. If it's too difficult to make it from scratch, I would recommend just pick up a simple template and Try to fill in your details. It could be a simple Harvard template. I think Harvard or Stanford have a template that you can use. Maybe Aline can share that with you after the end of the event. But take up a simple template and then try to fill in your details in a very clear manner. You don't want to use long sentences. You don't want to over explain. It has to be very concise and to the point. You don't want to be talking around a certain thing on your resume. Just one simple bullet point about a skill. It should be to the point, it should hit the mark, and the recruiter should understand very clearly that what that sentence means. What you can do for that is use quantifiable terms. Instead of just saying that I am good at so and so skill, try to quantify it in a way that a person would understand. Like, for example, you can say, let's say that you are a leader of a certain team and you've organized events. So instead of saying that organized events for helping students get better at Python coding, that's just a simple explanation, right? That's a good enough point. I wouldn't say it's bad, but what could be better is organized 5 events in a semester for close to 200 students to learn Python programming. So, by using quantifiable terms, I am telling the recruiter that I worked for these many events for these many students. So they also have an idea about the level of the skills I have and how much effort I've actually put into this. So try to use quantifiable terms in terms of numbers, or how you can use adjectives to quantify it, and use the XYZ format. There is so much hype about this, and for good reason, because it explains any objective or any experience in the best way possible. So it's basically saying that you used X to achieve Y by Z. So it's, let me just give you like a pull up an example. It's like improved sales by 20% um, by working on the marketing strategy of growth projection, something like that. So it says I achieved X of Y by doing Z. By using this kind of format, you're giving the recruiter a clear view into your thinking process as well as your working process. So this would help them understand your entire objective behind how exactly are they getting these goals done. So quantifiable terms and the XYZ format is the best way to present your skills, to present your experiences in your resume. Try to shape up your resume, like I said, very clearly and in this format. And again, I've said don't use too many colors, don't use too many pictures. In fact, don't use pictures at all. Um, I don't think pictures have a place on a resume unless you're doing an extremely creative role. Out of college, I do not understand how pictures would help you um, set your resume apart. That's just not my opinion, I would say. Your Again, your resume shouldn't be too high contrasting if you want to just experiment it with a little, but simply I would just recommend go with just a black and white simple resume. And what this is something that people get a little bit of difficulty with, is that your information should not be cluttered on the resume. So it shouldn't be too close, it shouldn't be too small, but the resume should not have white space. So it basically means that your formatting should be such that the resume doesn't have a blank space in a random area. So try when you're using these actionable terms and the XYZ format, it just allows you to have longer sentences. It might push up your resume a little upwards, but there shouldn't be any space on the right, or there shouldn't be any blank space on the top. That's what my suggestion would be. Try to keep your resume to one page. We can sometimes, because we do have the experiences, let's say with volunteering or with like our awards, we can sometimes want to have all of them on a resume, but just stick to one page. Recruiters do not spend more than 10 seconds. In fact, an average of 6 to 7 seconds, that's all they spend on your resume. So they're not going to be reading 2 pages. It's not worth, first of all, the time that we have to put into creating a 2 page or more worth resume, but also because it just shows how we're not able to put all of our achievements concisely. That is also a skill that they're looking for. because when you're doing it right, it's good. Nobody's like, this is so good. No one's gonna talk about it because that's how a general resume is expected to be. But when you're doing 2 pages, or when you're doing something wrong, that's when it stands out to the recruiter. Oh, there's something wrong here. There's something missing here. There's something amiss here. That's what comes to their mind. Or maybe the student wasn't able to pack everything in one page. Maybe they weren't able to put their profile together on one page. So it just like, when it's not going in the right direction, it just stands out. So I don't want you guys to do that. And the last point would be add accountability by either getting credible volunteer experience or additional courses. So this would be, let's say, if you are in your first year, if you're in your second year and you want to have a good resume, then you could get certifications from courses that you could do online that are offered by universities in the US. So it's on Coursera. I don't know if MJ is still providing um, an option for that, but we had an option to do a certification. There was a limit to it, but we could do a certification because of our college account. So maybe you can ask them, but having that kind of certification again adds to your resume, it adds to your skill, and it also adds credibility because you are going out of your way to get more skills and get more experience by doing it. First of all, you're doing it online, and you're also doing it from a top university online. So I would recommend that. That is a great thing you can do for adding credibility to your resume. And then you can also add accountability by either volunteering at certain organizations. Obviously you're not going to get paid for that, but again, you're polishing up your resume. If you get internships, amazing. But if you feel like you still have time for that, or you feel like you still need a boost, then this is what you can do. Then we're at the LinkedIn profile. So this is something that I've spoken a lot about because also I did work with LinkedIn for a really short while as a content creator. So I understand what happens behind the scenes as well. So I'm trying to give you um, really helpful advice here, guys. These are really relevant, even though we're like, oh, this is really casual, this is very common, but these are super important. So like I said, your LinkedIn profile is something that when people look you up, first of all, it should come up, and second, it should be really good, because that is the impression that people are going to take from. So if we have this conversation, so if we're having this session here, um, and you want to connect with the speaker, you want to connect with the organizers, you would look up their LinkedIn, right? If you have no other communication point, if we weren't from the same college, then there was no other communication point for us. So the only way to do that is through LinkedIn. And if that's the case, then your LinkedIn should be the best thing in the best possible presented way about you. So you need to constantly work on it, keep it constantly updated, and keep polishing it up. So it's like a lengthier version of your resume. You know how I said that a resume should be a one page, right? Here you can do the same thing, but like for a longer, um, you can just keep going in your LinkedIn profile. So it's your resume, but super extended, because they have sections for every possible thing that you write on your resume. They have a section for it on LinkedIn. So you can go into as much detail as possible here, and uh, nobody says that, oh, that's wrong, because that's completely fine. And that's actually really good if you're more detailed on your LinkedIn profile. The first one would be that your profile is relevant, it's up to date with the information. You should have a good bio, a good description. You should talk about yourself in terms that are, again, clear. You don't really put an objective on a resume, right? Not anymore. You shouldn't be. So this is where you put it. What your goals are, who you are as a person, and what you're trying to achieve in life, but in a very professional way. So you add that as a short bio, you put that up as a description. That's an amazing way for people to find out about you. And have a professional profile pictures. This is really important because sometimes when people are getting recommendations, or when people are scrolling through the network, even before the name, they see the profile picture. So I've seen countless profile pictures that aren't professional. So try to get a professional headshot. It's quite simple. You just stand in front of a plain wall and just get a simple picture with the phone. You don't have to go to a photo studio or whatever. That's not what I mean by a headshot. It's just like a simple straightforward, so that they can identify you. but also because you want to keep it simple and professional. It's not like Instagram, or it's not like Twitter, where you know have different filters, or if you're trying different angles, um, because it's not really important that way. People want to identify you, so you should be identifiable in your picture in a professional way. That's all that matters. Second one is to add your projects and skills. So there's a section when you scroll down, you can see experience, you can see education, you can also see projects and skills. So I would say these four things are super important in terms of giving details to the projects that you've done, the experiences that you've had, any volunteering that you've done, and the skills that you have. So list them down and give a short description for each of them. So let's say you did a small internship at a startup. Write that down, have the dates from when to when you've done the internship, and then add a short description about what project you worked on. Then you can add all of these experiences. Another thing you can do is that if you've done any courses online, they tend to have a project, or they tend to have this evaluations. You can add that for projects as well. So you can add that as a project, and then in the description, you give a detailed overview of what the project was, what skills you required, what all you learned. So this would because recruiters do look at your LinkedIn profiles, recruiters do reach out, and when you apply on LinkedIn, that's straight where they go. So it shows all of your skills in one place. It shows the projects that you worked, the experiences that you've had, and because of the description, it adds more value to the recruiter because they understand you better now. The resume gives the first insight to this, and the LinkedIn profile gives more detail for that. So try to put all of that in one place very properly in a nice detailed description, and try to not make any. Okay, so this is a very simple advice I'm giving you. Try to not make any grammatical or spelling errors, because when I said everybody, when they do right, it doesn't really stand out. But when you do something wrong, it's very glaringly obvious, and that's when everybody starts looking at it. So try to be polished whenever you're publishing something on LinkedIn. Then the third one would be to reach out to recruiters and potential mentors, have a presence that aligns with your goals. So by this I mean you could connect with all these professionals that you feel are good mentors for you. You don't even have to message them to think of somebody as your mentor. You could just simply follow them and see how they're doing. You could learn from their experiences, what they're posting, because a lot of people on LinkedIn, professionals on LinkedIn, post their entire learning journey. They post how they've come to work at so and so company. So you could just follow them and consider them a mentor. And that is one of the greatest tools, let me just say, because you don't even need to reach out to have a mentor at this point. But if you want to, then you could connect with somebody that you feel that could be a good mentor, and you could reach out on LinkedIn, because people tend to respond on LinkedIn to you when you have a well drafted message to them. You could, and also when you're applying directly through LinkedIn, that's how recruiters directly reach back to you as well. But when you're applying otherwise, you should also reach out to that recruiter. So let's say there's like a job posting, and then you just reach out to the recruiter and be like, I've applied to so and so job posted that you've had, and I'm really excited to see what happens, looking forward to hearing back from you, and so on and so forth, in a very nice way. Because you don't want to you want to you want to come off as professional first of all, and you also don't want it to be a casual DM. This is because this is like very valuable. It's basically your one shot to talking to that person, to knowing that person. So I would suggest that it should be very well put together, it should be well drafted, it should be very professional, and it should be short. Don't keep it too long, because high chance that a lot of people will not really go through the entire message before they realize that this has no value to me, because they also look for what value they can get from knowing you, right? So try to see how you can add on to that as well. Try to keep it short and try to see how you can add value. These are the two most important things when you're messaging somebody on LinkedIn. And then the final one would be to get referrals for jobs and endorsements for skills. So now, this is something that is kind of like a shortcut, I would say, because when you're applying to jobs, you can apply to jobs straight up on the portal, or you can apply to jobs on LinkedIn. But another way to do that is people who are already working at the company have an option to refer people, others. So they have a special link that the company gives them, and when you apply through that link, you go back to the same portal, but then when you go through that link, you get that employee's referral, which adds credibility to your application, which wouldn't have been there when you apply normally or just normally on LinkedIn. So getting referrals is something that either people just like straight, okay, so people straight up sometimes just post that, there's this job opening at my company and I have referrals for anybody who's interested. Or what you could do is, when you know that there's this company that you're applying to, they have these applications open, you reach out to a person who's working in a similar role or in a similar team, and then you tell them that, I have this opportunity, I would love to see if you have a referral. Asking for referrals is completely fine. It's something that is very normal that happens on LinkedIn, but that's for job applications. No, I don't even think that any internship applications have referrals, but when you're applying for jobs, getting referrals is the smartest thing to do, and the best way to do that obviously is LinkedIn. And then there's all, like I said, there's also a section for skills that you can list out that you have. So these are just like, you're just mentioning every skill that you have, I think, at the bottom of your profile. So what you can do is that you can ask your colleagues, you can ask your teammates, you can ask your seniors to endorse you for these skills, which adds this incentive that, okay, so you also know the skill, but it also shows the recruiter that you are good at that skill. So you can add endorsements, and people can also write a small referral for you at the bottom about, oh, so we worked at this on this project together. It was great to work with this person. He's really good at Python. He's really good at C++, and he also really helped me understand the failure point I was facing. A person could just like help you with that. So that again adds on to your credibility as a professional. So make the best out of these features that LinkedIn has. Give me a second, guys. Just a second. Okay. So this is something that's similar to what I was talking about messaging on LinkedIn. So this is cold emailing. Now this comes when you are a little further into your professional journey or your educational journey. This is not something that just like straight up happens from your first year. I don't know how much value it could possibly add, but this is something that helps you when you're a little further into your educational or professional journey. This helps you understand what opportunities are there, because there are times when you don't really know, or we don't really understand what exactly needs to be done or what exactly is available for us to get done. Like there are these positions that are open, but you don't know about them. There are scholarships that are available, but you don't know about them. So the only way of doing that would be to get in touch with this person, or would be asking this person about it. And how exactly do you ask them when you don't know them? You email them. And emailing, I would say, is a skill that you need to learn how to be good at, because this is cold emailing that you're doing, and you don't know for sure if you are going to get a response back, because not everybody would respond to every email that they receive, and people who do receive these emails tend to receive a lot of them. So you need to be very clear in what exactly do you want to get out of doing this cold emailing. And this is something that I want to tell you guys about, because I'm not sure if when I was in MJ, I really understood the relevance of such a thing like this, because first of all, we didn't really have much time on campus because we were in COVID. My entire, I think, till about mid or fourth year, we were just at home because of COVID. So we didn't really understand the relevance of something like this. But this is actually a great tool for when you want to put yourself out there after doing all the things that I've just spoken about. So this is something that you do when you want to, let's say, work with a professor. Somebody did ask me about like research opportunities, right? So one way of finding out about it is to reach out to professors. So you reach out to them either on LinkedIn or you just mail them. So when you mail them, you have to like put forward an idea or like a proposal or a request and to ask them. It's basically a question and you hope that they respond, because that's the whole process. You mail them and you hope that they respond without the guarantee that they are going to respond. So when you're sending out emails like that, the first thing is that it has to be personalized. It can't be a same generic email that you're just sending out to every person that you know, because you're not going to get the same benefit from everybody that you're emailing. So you need to personalize as to what exactly you think you can get out of that experience, what benefit you can have from that, and what platform or what base, what background these people have. So it has to be tailored to that. Second one is to be clear in stating your objective and your profile. Like, why exactly are you mailing this person? There has to be a certain reason. So you need to state that reason upfront. You need to be very clear in the reason why you're even emailing this person to begin with, so that the person knows when they start reading your email, oh, this is why I have this email in my inbox. And then when you're done with that objective, then you state your profile. I want to do this because I am so and so. I've done this. Let me give an example. Let's say you're emailing a person in the startup, and you're like, I've read about your startup, I've seen the work that you do, and I would love to see if I'm a good fit for a technical role in data, because I'm currently an undergraduate student with an interest in data science, and I've done courses that have helped me understand that data science is something I want to go forward with. Simple, clear, to the point. So this would allow the person to understand why you're emailing them and how exactly that would be a good idea for them. And then is to send your message in a short and actionable manner. So like, you send your message, but what exactly do you want out of this message? I've stated my intention, I've stated my profile, but why am I emailing them about this? Why am I just giving them like an information? It's not going to be like an information dump, right? There has to be something that happens after this. So, like the last part of that statement that I said, that I would love to explore if there's a role, a technical role with a data science focus that I would love to apply for, I love to be considered for. I look forward to hearing from you, or here is my resume. Please let me know if I could be a good fit. I would love to set up a time to have a meeting with you, or I would love to hear back from you if there are any opportunities. So the ending of your message or you signing off should be the action that should happen next due to this mail. So you start off with your intention, then you give your profile, and then you give an actionable sentence. It doesn't have to be like, I want a meeting all times, but then you have to understand how exactly are you gonna, approach this person. And the last one is to be polite. You shouldn't be spamming. So these people, they are not free all the time. So it would make sense if they reply to your email maybe like 10 days ago, 2 weeks later as well. But we shouldn't like spam them. If you mail them once, you didn't hear back, it's fine. You just move on to somebody else. If you've mailed them, you've gotten a response, and then you respond, but then you don't hear back from them. You could wait for some time and then give a follow up after a reasonable amount of time. You shouldn't be bombarding them, because A, it's not professional, and second, it's just not polite at the end of the day. So it's just not something that you want to push onto them, that you're not being patient about it, because any opportunity takes a lot of patience. When you start working on something, it's never that you see the results immediately. You might even see results for certain things after years. So don't be impatient with the fact that, what, I've written the email, I want the opportunity now. It never works that way. You could, in fact, even talk to a person, get in touch with them through email, and then because they're a recruiter, there could be an opportunity that pops out later, years later, and they think of you because you had a good connection with them, you had a good conversation with them, and you had a good profile. So they will think about you and they will get back in touch with you. So it's a long game, guys. everything that you're starting now is for the long run. Don't think of anything as an immediate benefit or an immediate um, validation process, I would say. Think of everything as long run. Every small thing that you're doing right now is a small dot that you're going to connect onto your next goal. So think of all of these steps in the longer run. Okay. I feel like this is very long, and again, it's very unique to every person there is, but I'm just trying to put the most important points up here and also just add a bit of my personal experience for this. So when you're preparing for masters, um, people start for the exams from 2-2, they start studying, or 3-1, and they're done with their exams by then, and they're applying by the end of 3-1 or 3-2. By 3-1, 3-2, I mean third year, second semester. So you need to have a clear timeline first. I would say the first foremost important thing when you're applying for your masters is to have a clear timeline as to when do the application windows open up for universities, and how long before that you need to have your application ready, for which you need to know when you need to write your exams, when you need to have your recommendations, and how you should be working on your essays. So create a timeline, again, work backwards. This is the best example of telling how working backwards works. Um, you have a deadline, you don't even think about the deadline, actually think of when the applications open up. Keep the opening window, the date of the opening as the deadline for you. Never think of the last date of the application as the deadline, because certain universities have rolling applications and rolling acceptances. So depending on the applications they're getting, they are evaluating them and they're accepting them. So there are certain times when they're really good applicants, but because of the fact that they've already filled out their seats, they can't give an admission letter to that applicant, and they've been very forward with this. A lot of universities do that. So keep in mind that keep the first date of the accepting window or the application window as your deadline, and from that work backwards into what you need to, all the documents you need to have prepared, and when you need to write your exams. So that way you have everything ready before the application window even starts. That is the best way to go forward, because it's less stressful for you and it has a higher rate of success. So have everything ready before the window starts, and then try to submit it as soon as possible, preferably on the first or the second day, because they are bombarded with applications. Your application, if it has to be considered, has to be there up on the top. And the important thing to do when you're applying to universities is to research, because A, you also want to go to a good university, but B, you want to go to a university that's good for you. Um, it doesn't make sense to just go to the university because it has a good ranking. It should make sense that it is a good fit for you in various factors. You need to take all these factors into consideration in terms of us being international students, in terms of financial goals, in terms of, let's say, if you're interested in research, so in terms of what research projects are happening and what professors are working on at that time in that university. So you need to take all of these things into consideration and then decide what universities would be a good fit for you. uh, and when you have like a list, I would recommend that you divide these universities, or in fact, when you're searching, just straight up search for universities based on these three lists, three buckets, as ambitious, moderate, and easy. So ambitious would be universities that are amazing, but in terms of an acceptance rate, they have a very low acceptance rate. There are universities that have lower than 5%. There are universities that have lower than 2% acceptance rates. So these would go in your ambitious university, because you have so many people applying to the same spot and it can get really difficult. So that would be ambitious for you. Then the moderate one would be where you feel like it's a great university and you have a really good chance at getting there. And even though there are the now this acceptance rate can be between, let's say, 10 to 30%, that would be moderate. Anything above that would be easy, which means that you can get in with a good enough profile, and they would give you an acceptance letter if your profile's like in within that range. So you when you have your scores, when you have your exam scores, when you have your recommendations, and you have your essay ready, you have a much clearer idea on these three buckets. So the best way would be to create these buckets so that you also have an idea of what universities you're applying to and where you want to go. Now, once you have this list, create an Excel sheet with a list of all of these universities and the requirements on the top. So certain universities will straight up mention how much. So let's say if you're talking about the English exam, the English speaking requirement, certain universities want TOEFL only. Certain universities accept both IELTS and TOEFL. So you need to be clear. Like for example, when I was applying, there was a university that I missed out on applying to because they did not accept IELTS then. So, and that was the exam that I had written. I hadn't written TOEFL, I had written IELTS with the British Council. So you need to be clear in terms of what each university's requirement is. So create columns. One can say GRE, another can say the English requirement, other can say recommendations. So you fill out how many they need. Certain universities require 2 letters, certain universities require 3 letters. So when you have everything written in front of you, and then a small tick box at the end, which would say that, okay, you fulfilled all the requirements for this university, you know that you have a good application sent out. So create an Excel sheet and create, so the rows would be the universities and the columns would be the requirements. And you can customize the requirements as you wish. These can be exams, they can be essays, and like certain universities have two essay requirements. One of them is a personal statement, and the other one is a diversity statement. So look that up, list all of these requirements require in one place basically, so that you don't miss out on them. And also because you want to start early and you want to have really good information in these essays or like really good scores for these exams so that the overall application is good. Then coming to the exams, decide which exam you want to write for the English requirement one, because what you can also do is that you can ask for a letter from university, from MJ or Usmania, to specify that your education was English medium, so you don't need it, but it is important for any opportunities here. If you want to work after coming here in research, they tend to ask for having an IELTS or like an English speaking score. So when you write these exams, you have a certain speaking score, right? That's what they ask. If you want to be a teaching assistant here, they have English speaking requirements that you can show these exam scores for. So um, that's something that you should look into and see how that benefits you. And then coming to the, okay, wait, another thing about the English requirement thing is it's not a hard requirement in terms of what score you should be having. There will be certain universities that will also list that you need to have an overall score of 7 or like a 7.5, but some will list that you need to have individual scores of writing as this much, speaking as this much. So check how each university wants you to perform so that you know while applying that, okay, you have done this much correctly for this one. And if they haven't mentioned it, then they have like just a minimum bar, like they want you to fulfill the 6.5 or like a 7 obligation, and that's fine. But the English requirement exam isn't like a competitive edge. The higher the score, the better is not a thing with these exams, because it's just saying that you know English really well. So don't stress too much about IELTS or TOEFL. Just have a minimum required score fulfilled, and that should be fine. If you have a good score, it's good for you. There's nothing wrong with having a great score, but don't think of it as having a better IELTS or a TOEFL score boosts your application, because it's just fulfilling a requirement. Once you cross that requirement, they do not bother too much with how amazing the score is. They're like, okay, they're if you, let's say you got an 8, they're like, yeah, they're above 7, they're above 6.5, good, that's it. They're not gonna be like, oh, this person has 8, which is better than the other application who has a 6.5, so this person is going to be selected. That's not the case with these exams, just putting it out there. Then the GRE, which is that exam, you will be considered, you will be, compared based on that exam. So try to have a good score for that. So higher the score for the GRE, the better. And again, the universities don't really put out, a lot of them don't, some do. Some of them are like, you need to have a minimum score of 315 or 310 or 35 305. So check if they have a minimum requirement, and if they don't, then you can easily find like the average scores of the students who were accepted the past years online, and then try to keep that as your goal, or like a score above that as your goal. So just look up average scores of people who got into XYZ university that you want to go to. List that down. So they have it. In fact, they have a breakdown even by the major. So they have, let's say, University of California, computer science at Santa Barbara or something. A person has a GRE score of 321, an average score, acceptance score. So keep that as your minimum goal. So that should be fine. That would help you understand that, okay, even if the university didn't list the goals, I can still quantify my goal this way. Then coming to your personal essays, resume, and recommendation. Resume, again, we've spoken about this, but that's a big part of your master's application. And your personal essays and recommendation letters are okay. So these aren't quantifiably descriptive, but uh, you need to be very good, I would say, and very smart in how you're writing them. So let me first do the recommendation letters first because that's a bit shorter. Because you don't want to, I don't know what the correct word would be, but you don't want to put pressure on a lot of people for a lot of recommendation letters. So you need to be very clear with the universities you're applying to and who you're going to ask for these recommendations. So the general norm is 3 recommendation letters for every application that you're sending. So if there is a person that you approach and they agree to write your recommendation letter, let's say a professor at MJ who's writing a recommendation letter for you need to list down all of the universities that you're applying to, and you need to fill in their email address so that they get an email that you need to fill these information segments, and you need to fill in the recommendation letter for a student who's applying, and they do that from their end. But for that, they need to have a clear idea as to how many universities you're applying to. So be clear with, okay, this is what I've set my goal as, and this is what I'm applying to, and this is what you need to send the recommendation letters out to. So be clear and upfront with them. And in terms of approaching these people, I would say select professors that you feel first match with the program expectations. So I had multiple origins, like the people that I approached for my recommendation letters. One was a professor in the computer science department, but one was a professor in the English department. So I had somebody vouch for me in terms of my technical abilities, but I also approached the professor in the English department, A, because I had been discussing a lot of these things with her since first year, and she was quite supportive in terms of that and her ideas. So I felt like she had vouched for me in terms of my non-technical skills because of the events that I was conducting, the way I was speaking. I feel like she was able to highlight a different side of me than the professor from the computer science department would, which would add on to like a whole personality in building a whole personality for my application. So try to think of things like that on how you can improve your recommendations, how you can have a diverse recommendation pool, and how to send out the best recommendation letters as possible. Then coming to your personal essays. This is something that is a game changer in terms of your application. So the two most important things I would say, while your profile is good, I'm saying while your GPA is good and you have your academics covered, that's the bare minimum. After all of this, the two most important things are your GRE and your personal essays. So GRE is it's the objective part of your application, but the personal essays is the subjective part. So you need to have a good GRE score, but you also need to have amazingly strong personal essays. So when you're sending out these essays, they have to be yours. Let me just start off by saying that there are agencies or companies who will write the essay for you, but in my opinion, and a very strong recommendation from my side would to not go for that option, because the person who's writing these essays is also writing it for like hundreds of other people. So the essay will be generic, it will be simple, and it will not be unique to you. for obvious reasons. It's going to be the same for the other 100 people, because that person who's writing the letter, the essay, doesn't know who you are. You're just paying him to write a letter, the essay, which doesn't help your application. So try to not do that first of all. Then second would be to see, there are people who post up their essays. They're like, I got selected, I got accepted into NYU, or I got accepted into Harvard, I got accepted into Stanford, and this is my personal essay. You can just look it up and you'll find out the structure. So when you want to understand how the structure of your essay should be, you can just use an example for that, not for the content. I mean, you obviously are not going to copy the content, but when you're seeing somebody's essay as an example, you're using that as a strategy for your content and a strategy for your structure. That's what you should use it as. Your personal essay, sometimes universities have prompts on what they want you to answer in your personal essay. So be very clear with that. Don't deviate from the prompt if they have a prompt. And if they don't, and they just ask for a personal essay in terms of your accomplishments and your um, all your hardships or whatever, then you can tell the story in a different way. But if there's a prompt, then stick to the prompt. And if it's general, you have, like I said, pick up a template, understand the strategy, follow the strategy, not the content. And when you're filling the content, be very unique to your experience. Don't pick up something just because it sounds good. Try to be very honest with what you're writing, because they want somebody who is uniquely beneficial to the platform. They obviously are accepting students only because of the benefit the student can bring to the university, right? So think of your essay in that way, of a marketing strategy of yourself for the university. Have clear paragraphs. Each paragraph should have an agenda. I mean, you're not writing it on the top that this is the introduction or whatever, but like when you're writing these paragraphs, write it with a clear agenda that this is what the paragraph should answer. The first paragraph is a very short introduction. The second paragraph is about my accomplishments in terms of what I did to overcome certain burdens. Third can be professional accomplishments, if I did an internships and what I learned. The fourth is the closing line, again very short, but also why do you think this university is a good fit. Now, this is important to note. The final paragraph in your personal essays should be very custom or very personalized for each university or each essay that you're writing. You cannot be sending the same generic personal essay to each university. If I'm applying to 5 universities, the 5 universities are special, unique, or known for 5 different things. And I need to mention that in my resume. I can't, sorry, in my personal essay. I can't just send out the essay with a parting line that, it's a great university. I would love to be a part of it. Thank you. That's very generic, and that's very, it's something of the past. You need to up your game. So what you could do is, for that final parting short paragraph, look up the university, what it's known for, and a professor that you would love to work with, or um, you would love to take a class with, and you specifically name them in your personal essay. You be like, there is the I'm super inspired by the work that Professor Tom has done in the application of artificial intelligence for healthcare. I would love to take the class that he's taking, CIS XYZ, the number, or I would love to work with him on his project. And then you tell them that how you feel that the university, with its drive for improving the research in artificial intelligence, would be a great place for you to be in to advance your career in artificial intelligence. That's how you part. Then you be like, this is why I would love to be a part of the university. It shouldn't be generic. It should be custom, it should be personalized, and it should be very smart. So this is a tactic that I used, but also this is something that is smart when you're applying to universities, because it shows that you put in the effort. Because a person who's reading your essay is human. It's not just going through like an engine or whatever, like resumes are, but for job applications. So when you want to connect with them on a personal level, this is what you do, and that's when they understand, oh, this person really put in the work. They are really interested, they really want to go to the university because of the benefit the university can provide to them. But indirectly they're also understanding how the student can provide the benefit to the university, because if you're conducting research, they're getting the benefit, right? So that's how you end it, and you shape it, just shapes up your essay from start to end, as you started off with an introduction, but then you also closed it off in a very beautiful way. So that's what you do. And okay, another thing I would say for the GRE exam is that every person has a different timeline. So don't freak out. Don't look at the strategy, preparation strategies. You know, all these, there are these companies, there are these GRE preparation education centers that are posting success stories, 60-day preparation strategy, 30-day preparation strategy. I would recommend to not bother with that, because everybody has a different timeline, but also everybody has a different level of understanding of the concepts. So what you can do is you can do a soft start and then you can do a hard start. So a soft start would be just like a reading into understanding what the concepts are, but the hard start would be, okay, I've set the date for the exam and now I need to write the exam in say 30 days or in 20 days, and I'm gonna start preparing from today and I'm gonna get it done by then. So you have practice tests, you have the textbook that you're solving the problems with. So set the dates for yourself that way when you're done with the soft start, because now you understand where you stand, what level of skills you have, and how much you need to improve. That way, when you have that idea, you set the date and then you have a hard start for about 30 days. But in my opinion, or in my recommendation, 30 days is a good enough time for a good GRE score. And because this is, again, it's an expensive endeavor, even writing the exam is expensive. So if you feel that you want to get a better score, then you have to pay the fee again. This is, I don't remember the exact fees, but it was about 15,000, I think. I don't know if it was 13 or 16, but I'm gonna go with 15 right now. But it's an expensive thing to even do it again. So keep a clear timeline in mind according to your skills. Don't follow anybody else's um, timeline or anybody else's idea. I wouldn't recommend it, because even though I did think of, okay, so these are so cool, but then I went ahead and I gave my exam in, I think, 21 days. So it differs from person to person. Some people write it 2 times, some people write it 3 times. Um, but then it's up to you. You, like, when you list out the universities and their requirements, you understand the GRE score you need to have, right? So you use that information and you use the soft start information to understand how much time you need, and then you just write it in that much time and then you give it and you should be good. Let me just like talk a little bit about the job applications and their interviews, because even though I didn't have the intention of working in India, but I did sit for a few interviews for the experience. Excuse me, 1 second. Yeah, so I did sit for the placement interviews just for the experience, and I feel like I do have some insights that I could possibly help you with, but not deeper than that, because I'm uh, very different paths, I would say. Okay, so the first one would be, if placements are what you're starting off with, then the college courses are a good way to polish up your skills, because the tests, first they have a round of quantitative analysis for you. So they just have like tests that are mathematical based, so they're not extremely hard, but they just like they help them understand what basic level of quantitative skills you have. So you could just like brush up on that. That is exactly the same as the GRE prep. I'm just going to be honest with you, the quantitative section of it. So the math part of the GRE section and the math part of the job applications, the basic applications that come in, is the same. So you can just prepare for that. It should be quite easy. So if you progress on to the next rounds, they're either, depending on the company that comes in, you either have technical rounds or you have interview rounds. And in the interview, it can be technical plus HR. And then after that, it can be an HR round again, behavioral interviews if needed. So for the technical round, the concepts are very well covered with what is being taught in class, and they don't really go beyond that. So if you've given 100% to what the subjects are in college, what the professors are saying, then it is, I would say, you're about 80% done preparing for them. But for the technical aspect, like the coding aspect of it, you need practice for the platform. So for that, I would recommend that you practice on lead code, and there's so many platforms that you can just practice questions. So with the concepts that you have from class, you obviously study that, but then you also practice on platforms so that you get hacker rank, lead code. You get an idea of, first of all, how the platform is, and second, how what kind of problems come, how to approach problems, how to solve these problems. So I would suggest that you practice on these platforms for concepts. They are listed down sequentially on the platform itself, so you don't even have to go and ask somebody what to do because it's right on the platform. You can just follow the path that they give you. So you do that, you should be good for the technical round. And then if there's an interview that has a technical plus HR, it's mostly them asking you about projects. So you need to have good technical projects that you've done in college. So if there's like a domain that you like and you've done projects on your own, or if there's like an internship that you did, or if it's the third year project or a fourth year project, it can be anything. So but you need to have information about it. It shouldn't be something that you just picked up on the internet and then you slapped it on your resume, because when they're asking about the project, you need to be able to describe it in good amount of detail. You need to know the skills that you're talking about. They want you to talk them through the workflow. That is the most important thing when you're talking about a project. You're not just explaining, okay, so let's say I did a small project that does prediction of skin cancer based on the images that I have of people's skin on their hands and legs. So I can't just be like, yeah, this is a machine learning project that predicts if you have skin cancer, and I can't just like stop at that. I need to explain it to them, what data I have, how did I obtain the data, and I need to describe the data. Then what I did with the data, how did I build the model, what was the logic behind using that specific algorithm, why did I not test it with the other algorithms, maybe I did test it and why this specific one performed better, what did I do with it, how did I go forward with it, how did I validate it, and is there like a proper platform that I use for it? Let's say, did I make a web app for it, or do I have a mobile app for it, or is it just in like testing beta stage? You have to be very clear in your workflow. That is more important. You can't just state it and expect them to understand the whole thing. They probably might, but they want to understand more about how you worked on the project rather than just the project itself. And then if there's the HR part, it's just very simple. You can just read up a few questions on the internet before going to an HR interview. It's not rocket science. They'll simply ask you about conflict. What would you do if you're in a team where there are team members who have conflict with each other, or what would you do if you are a team leader and a person who said they will deliver their work hasn't delivered, something like that. It's very simple. So it's not something that you have to spend a lot of time preparing for. It's just like a general understanding of people and good soft skills that you need to have for an HR interview, which I feel should be good enough when you are a part of college clubs or if you're attending events or organizing events.
Uh, Sorry to interrupt, Rida, but we are already out of time, so that you can quickly walk through.
Mhm. Yeah, this is the last part. It's about college exams. I think you asked me to add this.
Yeah.
Guys, this is quite simple. It's nothing to be, first of all, scared of. It's very simple, especially OU exams, I would say, or with MJ, because sometimes they can be a little frustrating. But in my opinion, what you study in class should be fine. first, and second, just work with the previous year's question papers, and third, you get these reference materials. I think star publications. If I'm not sure if I'm right with that, but any kind of publication for your subject, you pick it up because that helps you understand the important questions. I'm not saying those are the questions that come, but those are the questions that are frequently asked. So prepare frequently asked questions and prepare by using the previous year's question papers, and just be present in class, and if you have questions, ask faculty because they know really well what topics are important. Again, this is not a statement which means that this is important and that will come in the paper. That's not the case. But being a faculty of like more than 5 years, 10 years, they have an idea of how people set papers, right? So they will have an understanding. So when you're attending class, even before exams, a lot of faculty in MJ is open to like clarifying the questions that I could possibly have. So you could approach them, but using previous year's papers and publications like the star publication should be completely fine. It's very simple, to the point, nothing too um, complicated. That's all. I think I'm done now.
Yeah, sure. We have some questions. Uh,
Okay, let me just stop sharing.
you can also view them. Like start from which platform offers greater opportunities, LinkedIn or Twitter.
Okay, wait, let me see. Um, I would suggest LinkedIn because LinkedIn is more of a professional platform. The other one that you said was Twitter.
Sorry,
Wait, let me see. What was the other platform that you said?
Twitter.
Twitter. Twitter is a good way to be active professionally if you want to, if that's the space that you're looking for. But in terms of building a career, LinkedIn is the platform that you should go to. Twitter is not going to give you the same opportunities that LinkedIn does.
Right. And about that Columbia University research intern.
Okay, so the thing about research internships is that you have to reach out to professors. It depends on the availability that they have and the options that are available for them. So if they have a necessity or if they want students to work on that project, then obviously they're going to be really happy if you reach out to them in a nice way. But if you also reach out to professors with an idea of a project, if they have the time, then they're really happy to do that as well. I was a part of a mentorship group in which I expressed my interns, and then I was able to get in touch with the professor, and then I had a call with him where he did like a whole evaluation of like my profile and what project I would like to work on and the goals I have. And that's how I was able to get it, because I was able to get in touch with him through my network. So I would recommend that first of all, build a good network, and second, reach out to professors. That's how I was able to do the research summer.
You have been a part of some student clubs of college. How helpful it was for you, for your journey overall, and how you manage academics.
I've been I yeah, I think ever since my first year, straight up my first year of college, I was part of student bodies because when I was in first year, there was the president of MSS called Rida Fatima, and I was super inspired by her because she was the one who started the whole concept of Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors in MJ. So I was super inspired with the work that she was doing. So I got into that, and I stuck to just one student body. So this is, in my experience, I decided to just stay with one because I didn't want to do things that wouldn't be relevant for me later on, in terms of my goals. There are other student bodies that were doing amazing things, but they just weren't aligned with the goals that I had at that time. So I decided to stick with one so that I can make the best of the opportunity rather than spreading across my energy and my mental resources. I decided to stick with one and make the best out of that one student body experience. So I stuck with MSS, and I moved up in leadership positions because, first of all, I really like doing things like that. But second, it was also a good addition for my resume. So I moved up as a team lead first in the creative team, and and then eventually up to the president of the club. So I feel like this helps you develop a lot of soft skills. And because of the fact that it's a volunteer experience with Microsoft, it adds on to the certificate and the credibility to your resume. So when you're doing that, your academics, you have to be very careful that you're not giving too much to either of them. You when you've taken up a position, you have to do justice to that, but you also can't just let go of your academics. So I feel like I was able to balance it because I was clear in just one student body and the work that I was doing with it instead of being all over the place. I think that helped me more.
Right. So the next question is, have you worked on research papers? If yes, what kind and how long it take?
I've Because I've been a part of research, I was able to work on research papers. I did publish review papers as well because I was applying. I thought that having review papers would be a good addition to my application, which was an add-on to the projects that I had done in my undergrad. And I was a part of papers like in the initial stage. So when you're working on research, all the work that you do is documented to go onto a research paper. Doesn't matter when it's going to get published or doesn't matter when the project is going to finish, but when you are a part of that research, all of that work is put in one place for it to be published. But I wouldn't say that I've had one whole research paper for a project published yet. Someday maybe, but not yet.
Right. How did you got opportunity? Again, same question. Uh, this have been answered. Mm, how to balance academics and programming stuff. As this also is answered as answered.
Yeah, I think most of that has been cleared up. Is there any other question?
Mm, no, not. So
Okay.
yeah,
If you guys want to, then like I said, I am available on LinkedIn, so you guys can hit me up. But again, be clear with your objective, guys. I've also had questions that were very generic. The thing is, I do not mind with answering that curiosity, but when you're approaching people higher up in their careers, they do not have time to answer questions that you could possibly Google. So an advice when reaching out to people is check if your question can be answered by Google first, because they will know, they will understand that this girl could, or this man, this boy, anybody could just find it online. There's no reason for them to message me, so they're not going to respond. So when you're asking somebody something, be very clear in what you could possibly get for them instead of getting just the answer from Google, because that would be a wasted opportunity for you.
uh, what is
Okay,
your
great.
opinion on research opportunities in India?
um I would say the same, because any kind of research is good research. So if you have a good platform that you can start off research with, that's amazing. If you're able to contribute to a research, or if you're able to work on a research paper and have that project under your belt, that's great. And if you know a professor who's doing really good research in that domain, you should definitely ask them. It's nothing related to geography. It's related to the work that they're doing.
Do you know any professor that you recommend to work with research?
uh,
College or
I So wait, the thing is, even if I do know professors, I am not in the position to recommend their names that you should contact them. That wouldn't be right on my end. It should be something that you guys are approaching them as. It should
is
be
it
an initiative from your side.
right? Is it better to do research align with your goals, however rare or easily obtainable research?
If it's easy, then a lot of people are doing it. And if a lot of people are doing it, do you really want to do it? Would be my question. But beyond that, I would suggest that you should do things that are aligned towards your goal, because that would help you move forward. If you're doing side quests that are useless, then it's not helping you. You need to do things that are useful for your goal. It might be difficult, but that's the truth.
Right. So we are done now. Uh, So I thank Rida Malik Mubin for joining us. Already I have said you guys that she is joining us from Florida, US, and the time at Florida when she joined was 6 a.m. So it's early morning. From my heart, I thank her, and you guys also should be. Thank you, Rida, for joining us and providing this invaluable insights.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm really happy to see all of you taking this initiative to conduct the sessions, but also to everybody who's a participant today. That is what is really nice that you started off with that. And I just wish you all the best for all of the things that you want to accomplish in life, I guess. And if you want, then you can hit me up on LinkedIn. It's been nice. I'm gonna sign off now. Sign off now, guys. Bye bye.
Right. Cool. Thanks. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye bye.
Okay, guys. So, announcement: quoting forms will be releasing soon. Like in a day or two, we'll be releasing it on Instagram. So keep an eye on Instagram. You can scan the QR here, and you'll get all the necessary links that you can join. You can also join our WhatsApp community if you're not on Instagram or LinkedIn or anything. You can just take a quick screenshot so that you can join. Then, okay, then thank you for joining. We hope you to see in all future events. Lastly, I want to say, क्या बोलना? Okay. Lastly, I want to say thank you for being here today, and I encourage you to actively participate in our events and take as much as you can from uh, the benefits you get from Google for free. In a nutshell, GDSC is a platform where you can learn, grow, connect, and thrive in the tech world. It's more important than just a club, it's a community dedicated to your personal and professional development. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. If you have any personal questions, you can ask, and others who want to leave, they can leave. Yeah, done. What about Exicom? Yeah, in GDSC, we don't have like Exicom, GB, and all. We have GDSC lead, team, then we have volunteers. So it is a different concept here, not like other clubs in our college. Yeah. Can a person who has no knowledge of tech rela- related knowledge be a part of GD? Yes, you can always be a part of GDSC, but you can't lead the team. You can be a volunteer so that you can learn, and when you are good at it, you can lead the team in upcoming years. Share it on WhatsApp group, please. What should I say? Share that.
The link,
Which link?
social media handle.
Okay, sure, sure. Uh, any more doubts? How did GDC help you in career? This is
Absolutely
answered, I
nothing.
guess.
No, that was not answering. What have
Okay.
you ended up?
Join GDC. You'll get to know about it. Will this recording be shared on WhatsApp? Most probably, we'll share this on YouTube. Then the link will be forwarded on WhatsApp. Yeah.
And also, guys, if you've got any questions, like even 2 a.m. in the night, then we are available on our social medias. You can reach out to us on Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter anywhere. And if possible, try to create a Twitter account, post about this event on your Twitter, and LinkedIn or any other platform that you use. And if any blogs that you guys can write and all, this especially for first years and second year students. Yeah,
All right, cool then. Thank you for being such a great audience.
love you all.